Hello everybody. In this video we're going to introduce you to the concept of Ark Zen. How did Ark Zen arise and what are we trying to achieve with Ark Zen? So as we say in the paragraph here, some years ago we asked this question. We said, isn't there a better way fundamentally to do a better design for accounting? And the more we thought about it, the more we came up with the idea that there is considerably better ways of actually doing accounting than what we've been led to believe. And the trouble with what we have at the moment, we're fed a particular way of doing things. There's a lot of hype associated with it, and a lot of manipulation of the customer. And because it's a field of expertise, the customers are not really able to penetrate and ask the right questions. So this is why we think there's an opportunity here to come up with a different design that is really favors the client, and that's what we're trying to do here. Okay, so let's see what items we came up with to improve the design. The first of these is a unified database. And what we're saying is at the moment, for example, if you have something like a payroll system and a fixed asset system, and then some other systems, maybe specific systems that you might be running for sales, for example, you can have a number of systems. Each one has its own database, okay? And then you've got to get this information across into the general ledger. And that usually happens by a process of journalization, but you lose a lot of information, okay? What we're saying is the best way to run this thing is to create one unified database that has everything. It's got your payroll, it's got your fixed assets, it's got everything you need. So every single transaction that you have that you need for this thing. And these transactions, the list of transactions, that's all accounting is. You've got to recall all the transactions, and for each transaction, send it off in a double entry system, a debit to one account and a credit to another account. So you run through your population. Each population goes off like that and populates a particular debit or credit. And what we're trying to do here is say if you've got them all in one unified database, it's really, you can access everything, you can interrogate everything, it's got the speed and everything. You lose incredible amount of transparency by having them broken up like this. So our system has all of this housed in one system. Okay, so what are the benefits of that? From that position, we can now move on. Okay, and one of the things that we can do is we can do our journals programmatically. So we can go and interrogate that data, look at the actual data where each of the data population has its own number, and we can take that and say, right, you are, so that particular column in that particular data population is married to that particular journal. So we can take that journal and we can run through this and we can create the journals programmatically. And this is incredible because now we don't waste time and we're trying to fabricate journals and trying to make sure, and then if you make a mistake, then you've got to go back and correct it. And the correcting journal goes through in a different month, and it renders your actual general ledger virtually useless as any kind of useful tool to examine your data. And then you have to spend time creating new reports in Excel or some other system. Okay, so this is really beneficial to have the programmatic journals. It makes everything incredibly quick. Now, these journals are what we call macro journals because what we do, they run for the year. So we have a name journal, for example, the sales journal. So in our sales invoice, we have one of our tables is sales invoices. We also have sales product. That's obviously at a lower level. That's each individual product coming off the invoice. But here we have invoices, and let's say we have 800 invoices for the year. Okay, now what we can do is we want to be able to take that and put through to a journal, debit the debtor credit sales, and we want to put that thing through. The VAT is a separate journal. They're always binary. All our journals are binary, one debit, one credit. Very, very advantageous. So now we're going to look at that. We're going to read it out of here and generate the journals. When you press F10, the old journals are wiped out and we rewrite the journals from scratch. It's a report. We're simply writing a report. We're taking the populations and farming them out as journals based on two criteria, the period and also the batch number. So we group them together by the smaller one. The lower one is the batch. So that'll be the one. Each period has more than one batch, one or more batches. So now we're going to run that item, and that's how our journals come. And then when you want to look at it, a batch here, number's got a value 100,000, but you can go back to that particular population, and you can see these are the items that make up that journal. So you've got this perfect harmony between the two, and that's what we call it. We actually call this thing perfect harmony. Okay, and you'll see it if you go to any one of our balances, whether it be the actual total like sales, you can go then to the sales population and you can see that they are equal. They're the sum. They have to be the same. It's built into the fabric of the system. And even the same with the balance sheet. Even there, here we're taking opening balances, transactions, and coming to closing balances. When we do that in the journals, it must arrive at exactly the same position as we have in the data. So they all match up, and we've got that one. We've got perfect harmony, and that's just built in. So you don't have to do reconciliations. Reconciliations fall away. They're a non-issue. You can do everything at the speed. Now, the next thing that advantage that we get is this question of multi-dimensional interrogation. We can go to any particular population. Let's take sales as an example. We can go to our sales, we can look at it by month, we can look at it by category or data, we can look at it by sales category, we can go into all kinds of different items, we can look at it by region, we can look at it by VAT code, for example. So any of these different items we can, and then we can use an element from one of the dimensions to drill down. So we can drill down on August and then look at August in more detail. We can drill down on, say, a particular debtors category, and like maybe guys that are grouped as like the weaker debtors, and we go and see, you know, what are we going to do about these guys? You know, maybe we have to up the prices, or maybe we have to just cancel them altogether as a customer. But we can do this. We can interrogate everything. Now, one of the aspects that comes out of it, you can interrogate every single item, every single transaction that enters the annual financial statements. Okay, you can actually get access to. You can drill down anywhere, any little smallest chip. You can actually get down to that level if you so wish. You obviously don't have to, but it's available, and that is very, very powerful. And also, the next thing we want to raise is the fact that this has a forensic capability, a forensic effect. Okay, because it's so clear, because something is so simple, and so you can see what's going on. It's very hard now to do skullduggery and to try and you need the cover of darkness, and here's where complex journals crisscrossing with corrections and double backs and this kind of thing, it helps dramatically because only a few people know what's going on, the other haven't got a clue. Whereas here, anybody who's got access, who's authorized to have access, can understand it very simply and easily. And so we have that forensic ability built right into the system right up front. Okay, so now what we do, so now the next one we want to go into is the capture book. Now we're very proud of the capture book. Okay, what you have to do is you have to feed transactions into the populations, because we've got a lovely method now of processing the transactions, interrogating them, doing the journals, but you must feed the transactions in there during the course of the year. It starts on day 1, ends on day 365, and you are during that whole period you're feeding transactions in. Now what we've done with the capture book, and the capture book comprises about 20 little mini apps, and each mini app is designed specifically to guide the user to capture a certain amount of data. For example, on expense invoices, for example, these are invoices, we've got all your expenses, like say bookkeeping fees or security or subscriptions, whatever the case may be. Okay, so you're going to enter those items. Okay, now we've made it extremely user friendly. You just go click, click, click. You enter 3 numbers most of the time. There's occasions where you might have to enter a couple more, but you enter 3 numbers just using the keypad, and then it goes to, it builds up a batch maybe of 6, 7, 8, 9 items. Okay, and then you click on that and you submit that to the cloud, and you can see, you can be in the capture book, submit that to the cloud. Okay, that's your submission. You can go and see that batch of say 50,000, the 50,000 being added to the history, so we've got that for the year. You can go across to Phoebe, press F10, and you'll see that the numbers now are in line and in sync. So you've got this incredible speed with one-to-one correspondence, and then that has gone up into the cloud, and from there it replicates across the world. Okay, so the capture book is very powerful and very, very useful. We're very happy with that. Okay, now we want to come back to our outputs. All the outputs that you have, once you got all this data, you also need a whole series of reports, income statement, balance sheet. You need reports on fixed assets, on tax, on VAT, on all these different reports that you need. Now, what we've done is we make a lot use of RAM. We pull all this information into the RAM of the computer, and we do the calculations ourselves. And in that F10, you press F10, and it takes under 10 seconds to process everything there, and you've got everything's done. And whenever you go now to say VAT computation or this, it's instant. It's right there and available for you online. And so you can see exactly what's going on. So we think this is also very, very powerful. You can see exactly what's happening at any point in time. And just press F10 and you're up to speed. Okay. Now, another aspect that we think has been badly overlooked in terms of the design is what we call combined services. At the moment, if you are running a accounting system, you've got the software coming from the accounting software house like QuickBooks or Sage. You've got that item coming through there, and then what you've got to have your own bookkeeper, and the bookkeeper really runs that software on your behalf. But there's actually an element of conflict of interest here. The bookkeeper is based on time, and the longer they take to do the job, the more money they make. So they're not incentivized to be quick and efficient. And so they're trying to, there's an aspect where it's a bit silly. The more inefficient they are, the more you pay them. And this is not a clever idea. Okay, now what we do is we do this for you. This built into our service. Okay, so we sell as one package. You get the software and you get the accounting services. Now we have it's a set fee, so we have no desire to make it take any longer than it has to take. Okay, but what we're doing is we are seeing the information come back from the company, okay? And we can see that we monitor this on a daily basis. We have a number of associate bookkeepers who work with us, and they are constantly looking at it. A lot of it's done by the software. The software will let you go and check and see, are there exception reports? Have things come out of kilter? Are you up to date? And it'll alert the bookkeepers to say, this is what we're actually doing. So it means that we can be highly efficient, and we can do lots and lots of companies simultaneously. And so we are doing this. We're giving you this quality service, you're getting quality service, but you're not paying for it. Now, that brings me on to another aspect, okay, which is the fact that we need to use the right staff to do the right task. What we have at the moment is we have some very highly qualified bookkeepers and accountants who are good at what they do, but what are they actually doing? Their actual time is data capture. And data capture is a very low skilled activity, okay? And because of the fact that we've got this lovely capture book that guides the user through it, we can use very junior staff. We can use inexperienced junior staff. We can easily train them up in a short period to capture an invoice, for example, or to enter certain other items that you might have, okay? Very quick, very easy, and they can do all of this for you, okay? And then we are monitoring it. Now, the moment we pick up something's gone wrong, we can flag it and notify you, okay? So that way we get people at maybe as little as like 1/8 the cost actually doing the capture work. And we keep the skills only for a little bit of simple time duration. And this dramatically reduces the costs that we have associated with bookkeeping. Okay, so that's another aspect that comes out of this. Okay, now I just want to bring on to another factor that some people might be concerned about. We are Excel based. We have two workbooks that you drive the whole system. Okay, one is called Phoebe, Ark Phoebe, which is does the output, and we have the capture book, Ark Capture, which that one does these mini apps and does the capture. Okay, but that is all you need. And I understand why some people might think that if it's Excel, it's inferior, okay, because obviously we're all aware that there's lots of little programs written around the office, and they don't have the significance. They have weaknesses. They don't have error controls. They don't have backup necessarily, and so they can be quite weak. And then you might associate it with that. But it's not Excel's fault. Excel is a very powerful system, and we've written a system here that can handle everything, okay, and we've got good controls on how everything actually works. So, and Excel works. Excel is being tested, and Excel just works. So there's no problem with that, okay, and everything is going through. So what we're saying is, don't judge based on the fact that it's Excel. Go and do a proper user evaluation. If you do the user evaluation, you see the speed, you see the power, you see how it comes out, you see how all the outputs come out, and you can see that it's just wonderful. It just glides through, and it's so clear, and you can see the results, and you see why it works. So try that and judge it on our outputs, okay? And then obviously we've mentioned already, but we are in the cloud, and we send everything up there, but we also use local access databases because it's better still to have a local access that's right there. That's the quickest. That's by far the quickest. Going over the cloud, while quick, is not as quick as writing one that's right there on your C drive. So we replicate the data onto this access database. Again, we're not talking 8,000 records. Is not, this is tiny in database terms. This is the big databases are 100 million records. You're looking at 8,000 for the year. They're tiny. So access works perfectly well for us for this point. And then the other aspect that we have a superb encryption system. Our encryption system is probably state of the art, and we feel that we're at a level where it's like up to the CIA to actually try and break this thing, or NSA. That's the level you're going to have to go to actually break into this thing. And of course, there's points there where they have tools that you can't prevent against that. Okay, but most of the time the CIA aren't interested in your little company, so there's not too much of a problem with that. And for any normal hacker, they're not going to have a chance. So we're very happy with that. That's going to actually work. So having said all of that, now we're saying that this system will give you will do everything that you actually need, okay, and that you should actually give it an opportunity to go and do the evaluation. Thanks very much.